80% of my entire net worth was invested in cryptocurrencies. And when the Federal Reserve made that announcement a few days ago, I sold over 50 cryptocurrencies that I had at that moment. I know many of you may be laughing of me right now, thinking that I'm a brainlet, a newbie in cryptos that should never do something like this. You may be thinking that I'm fudding, that I panic sold, or that I don't actually understand these technologies, but rather, it's quite the opposite. I first bought Bitcoin in 2013. I'm a programmer that has worked in some really big companies. I know many people working in these crypto projects. So certainly I'm not one of these guys that keeps saying that it will all go to zero or anything like that. But in this situation, I did sell almost everything. I only kept one coin that I'm going to talk about, and I assure you that it's not a Bitcoin that I'm trying to shill for. Okay, it's actually a coin that most of you probably have, or at least you heard before in another channel or something. But yeah, I sold almost everything. I'm going to explain you why you should do, most likely should do the same thing as I did, and why these markets will probably just get even more aggressive with time. Although the dip itself was quite brutal, first of all, I knew it was going to happen. And I know it's easy to say that after it happens, but just watch the video I posted a couple of weeks ago talking about the economics of fear. I actually talked about these black swan scenarios, these big dips. These things will happen, and you need to be ready. By doing what, for example? By setting up alarms in your cell phone, by selling automatically after a given stock goes down by 10% in 5 minutes, right? You need to set up these rules around your investments not to be surprised. That's just one thing you could do. And guess what? I followed my own advice. I had stop losses actually set up. As a programmer, I did some stuff that's a little bit more elaborate. I actually wrote a script to analyze several metrics, several indicators. One that I personally love is MACD, Vortex Index, as well as the volume itself that is being input in some of these coins. You know, tracking all of that, and when the market actually started presenting a very negative sentiment, my scripts, my bots, they sold almost everything automatically. But not only that, I just also configured many alerts. And one special alert, which I personally call the red one, which is a really weird sound that is signaling to me that it's like one of the big moments, right? So I was ready for it. Overall, I did lose some money. My portfolio went down by 1%, which of course it's not really nice, but comparing to other people, I think I'm okay, right? Although I had all these triggers, all these alerts, all these bots, you know, the human factor still is here. So I thought, you know what, maybe I can, you know, I can wait a little bit more. It's not going to be that bad. And that was the one reason why I lost, 1% of it. But still, I don't regret it. And I recommend you to do the same thing. At least set up a stop loss. But if you are a developer, or if you know the basics of coding, consider doing something like I did, right? Just use some indicators like MACD, VI, and so forth. A software, a website that is really good for that is TradingView itself, okay? Again, I'm not chilling for them. I don't earn any money by talking about any product or coin, but they actually offer, a pretty nice software for that. And these alerts can actually save your portfolio as it did with mine. Why is this so important, guys? You know, take a look at that video that I posted about the economics of fear. Okay, people are actually extremely traumatized. They are extremely fearful all the time. And it's not just because of the stocks, it's not just because of the economy itself. It's the whole COVID experience, okay? Wearing masks, the vaccination, now there's the mandates, all of that stuff, psychologically speaking, affects everyone, including investors. And that was my main thesis in that video that I posted, a couple of weeks ago. So I don't expect that these things will just mitigate with time. I think they'll get worse and worse. And you see, that announcement from the Federal Reserve was just a little test, okay? They were just testing the waters. They were trying to understand how badly the markets would react. That's the thing. As you can see, the announcement itself was quite mild. They were not something that was announced at that time. It was not live on television. So I think it's telling us that the Federal Reserve is quite aware that one bad word could trigger a terrible event, precisely because of this collective fear that is unprecedented in my life and with what I've read in history, maybe even in the history of mankind. Okay, it's a collective fear that is potentialized, that it's boosted by social media. So it's something that people don't actually put a lot of emphasis in their analysis. But that fear is really doing terrible stuff in our own lives, but especially in the markets. So make sure to have these schemes, these stop losses, these algorithms, these codes, if you can, because I don't think these situations will stop. They will just get worse and worse. Now, as I said in the beginning, I still hold one coin that I didn't sell, which was Link. Link. It's a bet that I have for the future. For a couple of months already. It's been a decent investment. But I can't talk very much about this on YouTube, precisely because, it's not nice to talk about Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, in this platform. The algorithm doesn't like it. So I'll just say that, Link is quite related to the future of our financial system. So, that could be one of the reasons why, even with the announcement from the Federal Reserve, Chainlink was okay. It was actually the best performing crypto, and it doesn't seem to be so affected as Bitcoin was and many other cryptocurrencies. And in the short to medium term, I really don't think I will buy almost anything other than maybe Link and Monero, right? Monero, not exactly thinking about a huge return, but as a hedge, not really financially, but geopolitically, right? Monero, precisely because it has some features in privacy, anonymity. All of that could eventually be extremely important, not really in terms of appreciating in value, just getting more valuable with time as a coin, but if you someday need to actually spend that money, it could be something that in some circumstances could be valuable. So I'm only betting a little bit in these two coins, and otherwise I'm just thinking about just gathering the money to actually buy the true dip. I'm more of a developer that understands these projects and have a fundamentalist approach to it. I think at this moment, things are so volatile, things are so dominated by fear, as I explained, that although some projects have great prospects in the long term, these dips, these even pumps to an extent, but especially the dips, these are things that will continue to happen precisely because of the whole economics of fear that I described. And you know what? It's not nice when it comes. And in one of these, it could affect a project, it could affect a coin so deeply that it never recovers, right? That has happened already in some circumstances. So, even though some projects could be great, they have great teams, they have great founders, even though that's a reality for many coins, I do think that the entire sociological and psychological effects of the pandemic itself, the fear itself that I discussed, all of this, is making the markets react so brutally that, they may be undermining the truly great projects in the whole crypto industry. And as a consequence, I would rather wait a little bit more. Another thing is that right now we do know that most cryptocurrencies are actually going up as the market goes up, going down as the market goes down. Meaning, most likely what we have here is not a hedge against inflation or even the current economic system as we know, but rather it's a consequence of that. It's a consequence of the Fed printing a lot of money and pouring it across different sectors of the economy. Now, many people think that Bitcoin is a form of protecting against that kind of monetary system itself, which in theory makes sense because there's this whole decentralized architecture behind it, but doesn't really matter when the value that we have right now is reliant on the printing itself done by the Federal Reserve, right? Let's talk about, for example, NFTs. Let's talk about some companies that are in this scene. How is there so much money to these assets? It's quite simple. The Federal Reserve has influenced that kind of thing. And if interest rates go up by a few digits to actually fight inflation, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, people are not going to be able to put that much money into NFTs anymore and all these other assets. So it's really something to consider. And my personal take is to wait a little bit, be extremely cautious at this moment. And if you do, get into any cryptocurrency right now, just be prepared, have a stop loss, do some coding if you're a programmer to be ready when the time comes. And, you're only going to be sorry if you wait too much. Meaning, in terms of panic selling, I think people have a bad idea about this, right? If you are selling right when the dip starts, you're not going to regret it, as I don't regret it. So if you have alerts, if you have a bot that can do that for you, you're not going to regret it, right? Because the dip itself is not going to be so huge. Now, some people, they just keep waiting. They keep praying, oh my God, it's not going to come, okay? Come on, man. I mean, the Fed announced that, and you see the thing going down. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think miraculously things will just go up? No, there's no such thing as that. So, if you do try to get into the market, make sure to be very prepared. But if you are new, if you are a newbie, if you don't know exactly what you're doing, maybe reconsider a few things, okay? And as a last note, if you don't know what Chainlink is, I'm not being paid by them. I actually think they're ethically dubious people. I think they are connected to some potentially complicated individuals. But you know what? Their technology itself, the network around them, it's something to take a look at, especially if you understand, the financial system that's being developed at this moment. Just take a look at this, and I'm sure you may be surprised, but don't forget to subscribe to this tiny little channel that is trying to get to maybe 1,000 subscribers, okay? That would be a dream of mine, and if you can help, well, why wouldn't you do so, okay? In any case, I hope you have a great day, and I see you in the next video.